Hollywood is reacting to a weak summer box office while another San Diego Comic-Con has come and gone. President Trump took some time out during his speech. Bosk, IG-88, Forlock, Zuckus. Hey everybody, welcome to Cautiously Poptimistic, a pop culture news comedy show. I'm your host Dave Colombo. Let's have some fun. Episodic television is dying out. Long gone are the days of self-contained episodes where it didn't matter which season you jumped into. Sam's got a new plan to save the bar, something new's up Frasier's ass, and Kramer's got a new harebrained scheme that we know now was the only thing distracting him from screaming racial slurs. The new trend is serialized stories, with each episode building from the last, addicting to viewers who, instead of a marathon, now binge, because why even pretend any of this is healthy? And while it's fun to watch a show with the tension that we're moving towards an implied endpoint, I'm gonna miss the old style. Part of me likes thinking Gilligan's still on that island, Harry's still a remarkably inappropriate judge, and Cosby's still giving women constructive life advice. Though now it seems the film industry's picked up the slack with the new trend to replace making movies with building long-term franchises. Since the Marvel Cinematic Universe, films coming out of Hollywood have to have a promise, a rumor, or an implication that it's going to be a multiple decade-long saga. Ridley Scott's planning multiple Alien sequels, Zack Snyder wants to use the 300 template for other battles throughout history. Star Wars takes place a long time ago, but Disney has so many movies planned that eventually they're going to have to change it to now caught up to present day. James Cameron announced 4 simultaneous Avatar sequels, so here's hoping his fancy computer effects can digitally insert dramatic tension. Oh no, the bad guys are closing in! Well, if I didn't know these characters were around for 3 more movies, I'd be worried. Cameron plans to release the films year by year, with the last in 2025, which is like announcing a movie for this year back in 2011, when we were planking, debating the virtue of Tiger Blood, and the phrase President Trump only made sense as a decent bar trivia team name. They're announcing projects earlier and earlier to a point where now they expect preemptive enthusiasm. Did you catch the news of the release date for the sequel to a movie that's not out yet, by the writer of a movie that's also not out yet? That's not counting your eggs before they hatch, that's selling the stock of your omelet franchise before you're even sure which animals lay eggs. The Marvel formula works because I'm excited about the next 2 hours, not the next 10 years. And that's how we should enjoy movies. Imagine if 40 years ago you walked into Jaws knowing the sequels were already being filmed, along with a prequel TV series about a young Quint who's fishing for romance in the hip, sexy town of Amity and CW's Show Me the Way to Go Home. We really should just make a movie to be a movie, because we can already see how embarrassing it is when the gamble doesn't pay off. There's a rumor DC wants to recast its characters, so supervillains. Turns out all you had to do to defeat the heroes was overestimate their opening weekend. The last Transformers movie only made Paramount double the GDP of Micronesia, so it was a disappointment, causing Hasbro to remove the next sequel from its schedule. Wow, now even movies based on toys, based on movies, based on toys, based on TV shows, based on toys aren't even a safe bet? And finally, my favorite, the publicity photo that Universal hoped would represent the birth of the new Dark Universe horror franchise, but ended up representing the total number of people who saw The Mummy in theaters. Justin Timberlake faced controversy even before his halftime show performance, when rumors swirled that he had planned a Prince hologram to honor the late singer for his hometown crowd, which seemed in poor taste after an old interview where Prince expressed disgust at such an idea was released to the media. The actual tribute was an understated rendition of I Would Die For You with a projection of the superstar, which still made people mad. Though the guy that I feel sorry for is whoever built a complicated Prince hologram only to be replaced at the last second by a bedsheet. I hope you're happy, Prince fans. This is what it sounds like when tech engineers cry. Personally, I thought it was way more insulting that he didn't ask if it was okay to turn 10 blocks of Minneapolis purple. Mrs. Johnson, your husband's kidney transplant hit a snag when the operating room turned violet. Let's just say I Would Die For You turned out to be appropriate. And since when do we suddenly respect the legacy of deceased musicians? We brought back Michael Jackson to force him to perform a song ironically called Slave to the Rhythm, making people cheer for what was essentially a robot doing the robot. Celine Dion got to do a duet with Elvis, whose ghost must have thought that's the most embarrassing thing I've ever done, and I died on the toilet. Even as a kid, I didn't need to know who Fred Astaire was to know this was balls insulting. Also, best way to avoid people comparing your product with selling your soul, don't use the name devil. And the truth is, none of us can predict what our legacy's gonna be. Caesar was a powerful military leader and writer. Now he's that thing you order at a restaurant if you're overwhelmed by the menu. Fiorello LaGuardia cleaned up New York and built affordable low-income housing, and now his name just makes you think, damn it, that's gonna be my whole day. And let's be honest, if your friend just called you Helen Keller, it's not because you're a role model for human rights, it's because you walked into a sliding glass door. This month marks the 10-year anniversary of the 2007 writer's strike, 100 days when Hollywood was stalled in its tracks, which became a tentpole moment for unions, a telling prediction about the importance of the internet, and my excuse for why my acting career never took off. And as a side note, this is also the 2-day anniversary of the 2018 Cautiously Poptimistic writer's strike, when instead of working on this script, I played Fallout for 9 hours. The strike was a demand for the WGA to be compensated for the work in the burgeoning online market, and shows like Bones, According to Jim, and Friday Night Lights were just some of the dozens of shows shut down while the writers took to the streets, though learning that they were being denied profits wasn't nearly as shocking as learning According to Jim had writers. Late-night talk shows were put on reruns, which I was fine with since I can never get enough of Johnny Depp caught off guard with questions about the movie he's specifically on television to promote. What was it like working with Tim Burton? What do you mean? And though the intentions of the strike were noble, I don't think I can ever forgive them from the explosion of reality TV that took its place, which we still have today. Because who needs a well-written dramatic moment when I can say something incoherent and add sound effects? After all, that's what the fart doctor told me. And I'm surprised this hasn't become its own movie yet. Hollywood isn't exactly known for restraint. It was 10 years ago. 5 years after 9/11, we were like, all right, let's get Nick Cage in a fireman's outfit. And now a decade later, were the writers right in anticipating the importance of streaming entertainment? Jury's still out, who knows? It's yet to be seen, may not catch on. Are just a few of the shows I'm binging on Netflix. Well, that's going to be it for this month. Thank you so much for watching. Please share this with anybody and everyone you think might enjoy it. And I'll be performing stand-up comedy Saturdays at 6 at the Stand, Saturdays at 8:30 at Climate Lounge, March 1st at 8 p.m. at the Village Lantern, and March 27th at Lucky Jack's. That's going to be it. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay pound of moon. You know, cautious optimistic.